Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the French Tier 9 Premium Medium Tank, the Char Futur 4. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Char Futur 4, we've got two really nice games in it, a tank that I really adore playing. Is it the best Tier 9 medium tank in the universe? Not particularly, but it's just a tank that I've clicked with. I really do enjoy playing it. I just like a lot of things about this tank. It's a pretty mobile medium tank, being 60 km/h top speed. You've got a 22.96 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you hit that top speed pretty easily. 20 km/h reverse speed is pretty good as well. You can get up to 486 meters of view range with the build that I have, which means you get a pretty good view range to be able to spot for yourself, like we're seeing here on Lakeville. You've got 268 meters of still concealment, which, as well with the build that I've got, you've got 279 meters of on-the-move concealment, which means you can be a proper stealthy boy, which is exactly what you're seeing here on Lakeville. We've managed to get a whole clip off for nearly 1600 there without getting spotted. We finally got spotted because we pushed a little bit too far trying to light people up, and we've had to run away to get back behind cover of the rock. But that is this tank in a nutshell. It is a really stealthy tank, and if you can get out the clip for that 1600, it's pretty damn nice. The problem with the clip, naturally, is something that a lot of people will struggle with, and this is why I say this tank is a pretty good tank if you know what you're doing, but it takes a lot to get the most out of it. And a lot of that is because the gun handling isn't the best, and also the intra-clip reload is 4 seconds, so it takes 12 seconds to get the whole clip out from firing the first shell, which can be a bit of a pain, and people will struggle to use, but if you've played the Astron Rex, you'll know exactly how using a longer intra-clip reload autoloader can be like. As I say, the intra-clip doesn't bother me that much. I just like the 1600 clip and the mobility mixed with the very good camo that this vehicle has. And again, you've seen the good camo while we were farming towards that Conqueror. He had no hope of seeing us because of all the foliage and stuff. We've managed to get a few good shots off. We have a 34-second reload as well for the whole clip, which is another reason that people might struggle with it, because the clip reload is very long at 34 seconds with the build that I have. It's only 2000 DPM. I mean, autoloaders aren't known for the DPM, right? It's about that burst capacity as opposed to raw DPM. But 34-second reload for those 4 shells is quite a bit long. It does take a wee while to get these shells in. You've also got a 0.31 accuracy with the build that I've got, which isn't the worst, but you've got 2.73 accuracy during movement and 1.09 accuracy during rotation, which isn't that good, which means that the gun does bloom out a fair bit, and it's something you've just got to be very, very careful of, that when you've come from a full stop, it means that the aim circle is not exactly massive, but it is a bit larger than a lot of the other tanks that you might get medium-wise at Tier 9. And then you've got a 2.5 second aim time with the build that I have, which means you do actually feel that 2.5 second aim time, and that can be a little bit annoying. Like, it takes a little bit sometimes when you come to a full stop to make sure that this gun is fully aimed, and then just because of the nature of the gun, it does like derping at times, and it does like hitting the floor, which again can be frustrating, and especially for a tank that does have that 34-second reload, which is, you know, pretty long reload. It's just a bit annoying when you do miss those shells and you're running out of clip. Plus, the ammo capacity in this vehicle is something that you have got to be concerned about sometimes. I've had games where I've nearly run out quite often, and it can be a bit frustrating when you're starting to run low on both different types of shells. The standard APCR round on this vehicle has 264 penetration, which is fantastic. It's pretty standard for a Tier 9 tank. With 330 heat pen, which is utterly beautiful, means you do butcher everything with that heat shell, which again, delightful. 1461 meters a second shell velocity on the standard APCR means you don't have to give too much lead in realistic terms to be able to hit targets that are at a decent range. But if you switch to your heat rounds, they have 1060 meters a second shell velocity, which is a hell of a lot worse than the standard APCR. So bear in mind that if you switch to the premium round, you really have to give a lot more lead than your standard APCR round. You also have 7.5 degrees of gun depression with this vehicle, which is pretty nice. I'd say that's on the average end of gun depression, which means it's not good, but it's not bad. It's workable. You can work quite a few positions with that, and that can be okay. The other thing that is a bit of a struggle is an oscillating turret problem that quite a few of the French tanks have. And that is, you only have 11 degrees of elevation, which you've already seen a minute ago was a little bit awkward, and it can be a bit frustrating depending on the position that you take. If you are on any sort of incline and you're trying to look up, you completely lose any sort of ability to actually get your gun on target, and it can be a bit frustrating, so it's something to be very, very careful of with the old Char Futur 4. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment for this tank? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Steady Aim, Snapshot, and Run and Gun. And in terms of equipment, I run Optics, the Gun Stabilizer, and Camo Net. Camo Net to get the camo down to that 268 meters of steel concealment, which is very, very good. The Gun Stabilizer to knock the accuracy during rotation and movement down as much as possible to get the aim circle down as low as possible for while I'm turning the turret and moving the tank. And then the Optics to be able to get my view range up to that 486 meters of view range. And then the 3 gun perks, like I say, because the gun can be derpy and it can be a little bit frustrating, so I want to make sure that this gun is going to at least hit the target if I fire it. Doesn't happen all the time, but if I can help it as much as possible with the perks, I will do. Camouflage Expertise and Silent Driving to increase my camo by 10% and make my camo better while I'm also on the move, which can be pretty handy for this thing as well, because it helps with the fact that you are a very stealthy tank, so it helps you stay unspotted for longer while trying to get into positions. So this first game, we are on Lakeville. It's been a bit of an awkward game. We've managed to get 4.6k damage so far with 1,027 assistance. And we have basically countered the people that tried to push down the 4 line down the Lake Road. And we've also been trying to get shots at people that are coming out of the town. We've backed off to this building here because there was 2 or 3 tanks that were coming out of the town. And that made me go, absolutely not. I'm going to take a safe position where I can get behind the house. I might be able to outspot them, and if they do come chasing after where I was, I'll be able to get shots into them, and if I get spotted, I can pull back behind the building and get safe. But no one seems to be coming after us. So we're going to go back into the town where they were spotted. There was somebody in the cap, which means that, yeah, they're over here somewhere. We're not finding anyone at the minute. I didn't really want to pass into the cap to give away that I was coming this way, but it is what it is. We've actually found the IS-32. Now, if he decides to double barrel us, it could be quite awkward. Luckily, he tracks us only, which means we're going to put the heat shells in, and oh boy, we set the guy on fire and finish him off, which we've only got 2 shells left in the clip. We're loaded heat, naturally, because we've run out of APCR rounds, or we've only got 1 APCR round left, and there's 1 tank left on the enemy team. It is the E4. We know he's fired, so we're going to drive round and try and get both of these shells into him. So we fire 1 on the move. Sadly, it hits the floor, which is just the way it goes. I know I've got time to get a final shell in before this guy reloads, because naturally the E4 has a decently long reload, and we came just as he fired. And we managed to get the second shell in, and he got shot down. And we finished with the victory, 2 kills, 5,972 damage, 1,027 assistance, ace tank of the Confederate, the high caliber, 1879 base XP. A very nice game there for the Char Futur 4 on Lakeville. Again, it was an awkward game, but it showed off the strengths of the Char Futur, which is the fact that you get to your position, you stay unspotted. If you can get yourselves into nice camo-y areas, like lots of foliage, stuff like that, you're going to have a great time, because you can stay unspotted, and there's a lot of time for you to be able to get shots off. Now, naturally, if you get rushed by things that fire very quick, it can end very quickly for you, but you don't really want to put yourselves in the situation where that can happen, because at that point, it wouldn't really be the tank as much as the positioning you've taken, right? So we're on the second replay, and the second replay, we're here on Steps, which is a map that I always enjoy playing on. We have come to this position here at G9, because we can cut off people who cross the line like this 430. Sadly, he snapped us on the move, and our shot missed him, which is just RNG at its finest. We've managed to get a second shot into the 430, though, hoping to get the final one in, and there we go. We've put him down to a 1-shot with our clip. Imagine if that first shell had hit, but that was just bad RNG on our part, and the fact that he just went LOL and snapped us anyway, which was a bit sad, but yeah. We're up to 1,144 damage and 500, make that 722 assistance so far. It's going pretty decently for us in the Char Futur. And what I was thinking of doing was moving up to get some shots into the Type 61. But as we moved up, the Type 61 pulled out from behind the rock, which lit us up. And we've taken hits from both the 430 and something else that was towards the position where people like to camp on their spawn at H5. Which means that we're now on 602 hit points with not very much happened yet. The 114 SP2 is driving out in the open. Not the most perfect thing for that guy to do. Managed to get a shot into the AMX-30 as he poked out as well. We've got 1 shell left. I don't really like reloading 1 shell in this tank that often, because it often leads to the situation that we had in the last game, where you end up getting to a point where you run out of APCR shells and only have one shell left, which can be pretty awkward. So you are seeing me hold on to this shell for as long as possible. Realistically, I probably should have reloaded by now, because that way I would have been nearly fully loaded to be able to get shots at this badger. But again, I'm just being stubborn. I'm like, no, I just don't want to go for a full reload at this point. There we go. We've got a shot towards the 268 version 5. And for all that holding of the shot, we end up ricocheting it off the upper plate of the 268 version 5. We did go for the lower plate, but it hit the upper plate because that's what this gun does sometimes. It is a bit of a derpy gun. If you do not fully aim it, it will miss quite a few shells, and it can be frustrating. And at this point, we probably actually could have been fully loaded and been able to get shots at these artillery. But it's just the way it goes sometimes for the Char Futur 4. If the gun doesn't cooperate, it can be annoying at times. Like I say, it does take quite a lot to get the most out of this Char Futur 4. So we've pulled up on the Turan. The Turan fires, and it's like, yes, okay, the Turan has fired. I mean, don't get me wrong, it fires pretty quickly, so we'll probably be ready to go again. And I did think about going after him, but I didn't want to get caught out in a position where that Turan could just end up finishing us off. We've only got 2.6k damage with 1200 assistance so far. We've not had the best of games as it goes. The Turan fires again. There is a Sheridan, but he is AFK. So ignore the Sheridan, because there's tanks that could hurt us that are still alive. The 268 version 5 gets set on fire. He burns to death. So, you know what? We need to keep moving. We've got shells loading. We bounce a Waffle Panzer 4 off our upper plate there for 560. Well, it wasn't going to kill us, but that could have hurt. We take those ricochets. Thank you, RNG. That was really good. Oh, good lord. I mean, that's the thing with the Char, is the fact that if they hit the lower plate, they are going to hit most places on this tank. They're going to pen you quite easily. But the turret is very well angled. So it's, again, very similar to a Batchat in that it shouldn't bounce things, but because of the angles, it does like to get the odd ricochet, which can be quite funny and quite handy for you as well. Also, camo, by the way. That guy couldn't see us. But yeah, it will ricochet shots off the turret occasionally that can save you. Don't rely on it ever, but it can because angles. The upper plate is the exact same. It's got enough angle on it that can ricochet shells like that Waffle Panzer 4, and again, it can be a godsend sometimes and just save you out of the blue. Should you ever rely on it? Hell no. But it can be pretty handy. So if you do bounce on this thing, it's not, and you think, well, it's got no armor. How did I bounce? It's because of the angles. Also, that lip at the back of the tank that you can see there is literally just spaced armor. There is no tank behind that, so the amount of people that do shoot the back of the Char Futur and don't pen, it's most of the time because they've hit this 10mm plate on the back that has no tank behind it. So if you are sideways on and they hit that, a lot of the time, they'll get frustrated that they've not penned you, but it's because they've actually hit no tank, they've just hit spaced armor. And you might actually see that in this replay thinking about it. So we're up to 4.4k damage with 1418 assistance. There's 3 tanks left. It is 5-3, which means it's still kind of on a knife's edge. We just get there in time to try and get a shot at the Waffle Panzer 4, but as we take the shot, the 263 finishes him off. And then the 263 gets done by Artie. Well, we know the 292 is just fired, so we've got all the time in the world to come over and finish this guy off with the rest of our clip. And once again, we have that awkward ammo problem. We've only got 2 APCR shells left, so we have to switch to heat. We see the TNHT VZ51, and he is coming for us. We've boosted our reload with food, and remember, if you boost your reload with food on this vehicle, wait till it gets to the 30-second mark, otherwise you're really not going to see the benefit of it. And now we're playing cat and mouse. He comes over the top, coming after us, and there we go. He hits that 10mm of spaced armor on the back. He misses the tank, hits the 10mm of spaced armor, no damage. Obviously, we are lucky that he didn't pen us, but at the same time, he hit us in the spot that he couldn't actually pen. Now we're loaded. I can take the hit, and we finish him off with the shell that we just loaded. And we finish the game with a really nice total again on steps in the Char Futur 4, and we finish with the victory. 3 kills, 5,569 damage, the 1,639 assistance, which is 7k combined. Pascucci's medal, high caliber, the ace tanker, for 1,843 base XP. Really nice game there for the Char Futur 4, which is a tank that, it's not the best tank in the world, but it's also not the worst. It just takes quite a lot to get the most out of it, and it's a tank that I really do enjoy playing. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.